Well, losing weight can be a constant battle for many of us, from yo-yo diets to extreme exercise routines. And sometimes, of course, trying to lose weight on a yo-yo diet, it can be difficult. Sometimes it can feel like a battle against the bulge is kind of like a 1-2 punch for our entire bodies. But our next guest says the secret to permanent weight loss all comes down to changing your behavior. Joining me right now is Dr. Seti, known as the weight loss therapist and author of Shatter the Yo-Yo. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
You know, we had this discussion last week with a nutritionist who was talking about this new study regarding red meat. And she said, you know, there are no good diets or bad diets. It's just healthy eating and making the right choices.
Yeah, and so much of dieting is about restriction, right? Where you don't have a lot of choice. And it's why diets can be effective short term, but it's also why nobody can stick with it long term. That's the nature of the yo-yo, is you go on this restrictive diet, maybe you lose a lot of weight, maybe you lose it quickly, but you can't stay on it, you go off it, and then what happens is you gain all that weight back sometimes and then some.
How do you avoid that then?
Well, really, it's about looking at your own behavior, your lifestyle, your thinking factors, all of these other things that really do contribute to our relationship with food, how we treat ourselves, right? Things like stress, right? Things like sleep, all of these other factors that actually influence not only the way our body processes food and our metabolism, but our drive to eat when we're not hungry, right? We tend to forget that eating is meant to be sustenance, right? And we use food for all these other reasons.
So how do you avoid getting into that trap where it becomes like some sort of crazy relationship? I'm depressed, I eat more. I'm upset, now I eat more. Or, you know, how do you avoid that?
Well, first of all, you have to know you're doing it, right? There's an awareness factor. Like you just said, I'm upset, so I'm eating. You need to know that you're upset, so you're eating. So really, it's about paying attention to that. And when you're able to see that and see that this is something I do, the next step is saying, well, what else can I do instead? When I do see that, when I see that I'm turning to food because I'm upset or I'm sad or I'm bored or I'm stressed, okay, then what can I do in those situations that's not turning to food? How can I trigger myself and create this different behavioral loop or create a new habit in those situations that's a little healthier?
Because when you're making those choices and your diet is like a yo-yo, it's not healthy for your body. I mean, really doing that, you're doing more damage, aren't you?
Absolutely. And the more you do it, the more damage you do. The more you yo-yo, the more your body goes back and forth, called weight cycling. The harder it is to lose weight.
Weight cycling?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's basically that back and forth, right? The gaining and losing 20 pounds and moving back and forth with your weight. But it becomes much harder to lose weight every time you do it. And you start to do damage to your body. You start to do damage to your cardiovascular system. You start to hold on to the visceral fat, the fat that you don't want on your body that does damage to your internal organs. And it becomes harder and harder to lose every time.
So yo-yo dieting, not a good idea. Even if you see the benefits in your waistline, you're probably not helping your body out very much. Hey, thank you very much for giving us some diets on Shatter the Yo-Yo, Dr. Seti. We appreciate you coming
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. It is 9:51, and of course, if you want more tips on that, you can always go to her website.